Excellent. Welcome all. It's January 26th, 7:06 p.m. For our Board of Ethics meeting. Our roll call, we have Pat, Geraldo, Mickey, and Michael, and Assistant Corporation Counsel Candela.
We do have a public comment, so when you get to that, I just have to read in
Yep,
an email.
absolutely. I welcome you all. Happy New Year. Hope everybody's having a healthy start to the new year and look forward to what we have in store for our board in the year ahead and starting fresh. Why don't we go, Brian, to your public participation, the thing to read into the record.
Great, thank you. Happy New Year, everybody. Thanks for coming. I know we're a little shorthanded on the board right now, so it's appreciated when everyone is able to show up so we can actually have a meeting. So I received an email today from Diane Lauricella, and she indicated that she wanted to attend the meeting. She had prior engagements, so she asked me to read in this email. And it says, Brian and Mario is Corporation Counsel. Please give a copy to this to the commission and read it into the official record. It then indicates Michael Church, Chair of the Norwalk Ethics Commission, and Commissioners. Dear Ethics Commissioners, I hope that this email finds you well and ready to tackle the new year. I regret that I cannot attend tonight's meeting due to another obligation, but from time to time, I take a look at the important work that the Ethics Commission conducts. Tonight, I ask the following. When will this body hold a meeting or webinar for the public so that they understand that an ethics commission exists? 2, when will this body hold an introductory ethics and conflict of interest training session for sitting, appointed, and elected officials? 3, will you include accessible languages in order to advertise the public meetings? I don't know if this is number 4 or not, but in addition, as I read the backup materials, I noticed several typos, but more importantly, was a bit puzzled by some of the language used. Let's always make sure that we use non-legalese phrases when possible. One example that may need clarification is found on backup page 31, 3211 about future employment. I strongly suggest that the word termination be substituted with the word separation so that it includes limitations for those staff that resign voluntarily. Thank you for your work. Sincerely, Diane Lauricella. Just so everybody knows, I'm sure everyone is aware here on the board before we get going, that for the last couple of years, we've reworked the entire city code, chapter 32, code of ethics, and we've also reworked the entire citizens guide to the code of ethics, which is basically a shorthand bullet point summary of what it is, the code of ethics, and the process by which somebody can try to learn more about it. So that took us the better part of 3 to 4 years in our own committee meetings, and then going to ordinance committee to get it approved. And then since then, we've been trying to create webinars for everybody to have access to who wants to have access to them so they can understand what the code is. And that is what the PowerPoints we were creating were for each of you when you're creating your webinar video, to read off the PowerPoints and show them so people can see it. And obviously, kind of in response to one of Diane's questions or points, what we've attached to the meeting materials for today are not finalized and reviewed. They were rough drafts. And so obviously the language could be good, or it might not be up to snuff. We have to work on it. And these are not finalized finished products. So to answer the question, the materials are draft format. That's why they have mistakes, because we're going to fix them. And as to the other questions, once these webinars are completed, we will post them with the assistance of the city so that people can access them, and then work with the appropriate city departments or agencies to try and figure out how it is best for the board to communicate to the public and to the people who are employed or appointed or elected to the city that the code of ethics exists, that these webinars are there for them to review, and to see whether we need to have a larger meeting at some point. But hopefully those answer those questions and gives a nice summary to anybody who might be watching now or watching later about what we've done over the last couple of years and what we're hoping to accomplish in the near future. So I yield back to the Board of Ethics. I just wanted to make sure that was answered.
Yep. Thank you, Diane, for your inquiry, and look forward to having you at a future meeting. And on that, we will move on to the acceptance of the minutes for the October meeting. take a moment if you need to review, and then feel free to motion for approval.
I will motion to approve the minutes as written.
Do I hear a
Unless-
second?
I'll second it.
Mickey seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries.
And just so we're clear for the record, those are the October 27th minutes, correct?
Yes, October 27th, 2022.
Great. And no
Uh,
changes were made?
No changes.
Great.
And then before we go to old business, I'm actually jump to new business real quick. I'd like to make a formal request that we have our meeting in person next month. If City Hall can't accommodate for some reason, I would be willing to host it at my office, which is also on East Avenue, and I do have a conference room that can accommodate us. Obviously, weather permitting, and if you are sick or unwell, please let us know in advance, and we're happy to accommodate that. I do feel in 2023, it'll be great to get back in person. And we had built a great rapport prior to the pandemic being in person. And I'd look forward to resuming in person and having that collaborative work together. So I want to make that formal request, and hopefully with Brian's assistance through the city of Norwalk, we could find out if City Hall will host us or if I'll host or go from there.
I will, as soon as the meeting's over, Michael, just send me an email and I'll make the request to the mayor's office.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Then let's move over to old business and see if we can pick up a little bit of where we left off related to the slides. And those were in the attachment on the agenda. If you don't have it, I would recommend pulling it up. And then with Brian's assistance, we could see if we're doing this chronologically, starting with 3212, or I don't know if you have your notes from last meeting, what sections were the easier ones that we might be able to clip and go through.
I would request that, Brian, if you could share your screen each time, because I only have one screen. But
Yeah. And
I
Brian,
will,
if it's easier, I could share my screen if
Okay.
that.
I can share the
However.
screen. What might be difficult is that I don't know that I have these PowerPoint presentations in anything but PDF, so I can't make changes on the fly, but I can certainly put up what we have on the website.
Okay, no problem.
I can try to locate it. Hold on.
Take your time, no rush.
Yeah, or whatever. I don't know what you had attached. I didn't get a chance to print them out.
Okay, I'll be able to post that in a second. Share screen. Hold on one second. I need to get rid of some
While
other
he
stuff.
does, while Brian does that, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Is it possible for us to just have a meeting, other than the regular meeting, to, just have a working meeting to complete any of these things that are pending? Because I look at these, it's something that we should be able to do. I think
So if you
formal
want,
meeting is harder.
yeah, so
In
you
small
can't have,
groups.
if you're gonna do a meeting, you can't have a quorum, otherwise it becomes a meeting. And if we don't formally put notice out, then it would be a violation of FOIA.
Okay.
So you can work in groups, you can
Yeah.
work in groups of no larger than 3, by telephone, video conference, in person, whatever you want. I know I did send out emails to the group with the PowerPoints that we hadn't done yet, but let me share the screen now, because I have the agenda. It's right here. So as you can see, I'm just going past that. We have a couple of them. I'll read them off to everybody so you can see. So 3212 is one that I know Kara did. She took 3212 on. It's a beast.
Mhm.
As you can probably see, it's many pages, but if people take a look at how large and long 3212 is, this is actually a pretty good summary of each of the steps. So I don't know if you guys want to tackle something the size of 3212 tonight, or whether you want to try and do one of the smaller ones.
I would go, if you skip scrolling to 32.7, I would skip
Okay.
32.12 at this time.
All right, let me just take a look and see. I thought there was two 32.7s. We have two 32.7s. I don't know where they came from, and they are different.
Excellent. Well, we'll start with the better one.
All right, I don't know which one's better, so
I'm teasing.
you guys have to figure that one out.
Well, let's
Does
start with
anybody know if they worked on 32.7?
I did 32.7, Mickey.
Okay,
Is this the one you did, or did you do the other one, Mickey?
This looks like the one that I'm holding in my hand, which is a hard copy. That looks like the one that I did.
All right.
all right. So I don't know if we do make changes to this, if Mickey wants to make those changes and email them to me in PowerPoint, then what I can do is I can finalize those, put them in the appropriate folder where I have the other ones that are finalized and approved. And then we can and any other ones we do tonight, whoever was in charge of doing those. So Mickey obviously did this one. So why don't we see what we can do with this?
Yeah. So let's look at the first paragraph and take a moment to review just the first bullet point, and we'll go from there.
I think the only difference between the two, Brian, is the one that you have on the screen. I didn't have any justification. It was justification left, actually, but the one that I have is a full justification. So, but maybe that's not the difference. but that's what I have in front of me.
Okay. You know what we'll do?
But if the
Why don't
wording
we-
is the
why don't
same.
we- Yeah, why don't, you know what? Let me stop sharing the screen real quick.
Yep.
Because I might be able to find the other version, then I can put them side by side for you guys to look at.
Oh, the other version is 2 more bullets down, two more pages down.
Right, but this way you guys can take a look at them side by side.
Gotcha.
Let me see if I can find it. Hold on.
And as great as Brian does, this is another reason I like being in person, because then we have all the paperwork in front of us, and we're all right there.
It would be nice.
Maybe this one is it.
Now, I feel like I am commenting on work that was originally done by others, because I did not get any specific thing assigned to me. I
Correct.
just want that, okay.
Yep, no, this
Be sure
predates
we're
you.
I understand.
Yep.
That we're editing, or I'm
Yes.
editing, helping edit.
I'm trying to, that's helpful. All right, let me try it now. Let's see if this is, minimize this. All right, so, I do have a Word version of this, so Mickey, I can make the changes, any changes that you guys want to each of the bullets.
Oh, okay.
And
All
I
right,
think 32.8 would be the next one as well, so we can do
Yep.
those back to back.
So 32.7, an officer or employee shall not attempt to influence any other officer, employee, or agency concerning the handling of any matter or transaction. Are we comfortable with that?
You know, we did go over these once before, maybe twice. I'm not sure, but just to let you know.
Noted.
We as a group, that is.
Yeah.
That is correct. And then whatever, these are the changes embedded in here, whatever we might have made.
There were about 4 changes, 4 or 5 changes that we had made the last time.
Okay.
Excellent. Then we should fly right through this. So we'll say that's good. I'm not going to read the next bullet, but I'll give you 45 seconds or so to read through, and then we will comment. And feel free to read the 2 subset bullets. All right. Any adjustments? Or are we good to move to the next?
I have a question on that first bullet.
Yep.
Is it that the officer employee shall not attempt to influence anyone else, any officer, employee, or agency concerned in the handling of any matter of transaction? Is it any matter of transaction that's related to something? Because people are always going to influence someone, even, you know, even in the common council. So is it that you're not trying to influence them if there's some gain, or is that how it is?
I'm reading it over as you speak. Was other or about a matter in which he or she is.
It might be more helpful for me to, instead of putting up my Word version, because it's a little bit different than Mickey's, I'm gonna put up the city code. So you guys can check 32.7 to what Mickey has up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
I think that's more helpful.
Yeah.
And the definition of officer as
Yeah.
well, is that the elected official? Because that was the only
Yes.
other constituent. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Elected
That-
or appointed, Pat.
Okay,
So
So
even
it
you,
would be
Yes.
either elected or
Yes.
appointed people.
correct.
All right, now I'm gonna share the screen again because they're both up now, so it should be, I think, more useful. There you go. City code is on your right.
It is.
We don't see the on the right city
Yeah.
code.
Mm-mm.
We only see the prohibited use of influence. Geraldo, to go to, your question was,
Michael, do
there-
you see a split screen?
no, we
No.
don't.
so,
No?
Uh,
Oh.
the split screen is the page in your head.
Oh, so you don't see, there's 232.7s on my screen. It's not sharing both, it's not sharing that?
Correct. No, it's
No.
not sharing.
Oh, that's too bad. All right, so this is a waste of my time to do this.
Sorry.
That's all right. I thought I was being clever. I was not being clever.
It's okay. So
I'm gonna put
Geraldo,
it back up.
all right, thank you.
Mhm.
To your question was,
Yes,
is there a specific matter?
Mm-hmm.
And this specifies that it's a matter in which there's a legally protected interest.
okay.
If you read
Yes,
to past the financial, it says, in which he or she has a financial or other legally protected interest.
protected interest.
Does that help
Okay, yeah.
answer your question?
It's in one of the bullets below. I'm looking at.
Mhm.
No, just if you read, it's the end of the second line and the beginning of the third line in that second bullet.
Okay.
Just while you're reading it, I can't find this version, so Mickey, if you can make the changes and email them to me in your PowerPoint,
If we,
and
if we make
anyone
any
else who
change-
does future ones, we have to do the same thing.
Sure.
Thanks.
Okay, I see the second bullet, etc. Explained it. The first one's in a matter of transaction. I don't think that covers it, but the second bullet explains.
There. Mhm.
Okay.
Fine.
And then, so moving on to the final bullet of the page, the law department of the city, take a moment. I feel that's pretty straightforward. Is everybody okay with that?
I am. Yes.
Which one are we looking at, Michael? The
Uh,
third
the
bullet point?
fin, the, yeah, the law department of the city
Department.
shall assist the Board of Ethics, ... I think that's pretty straightforward. If we go to the next page, where it says an officer or employee shall not disclose confidential city information, ... Take a moment for that first bullet. I think that's pretty straightforward. Does anybody else have?
Just a
Thoughts?
second, can we roll back
Yeah.
up a little bit? What were the three? I thought there were three categories in the first bullet on the first page. Officer, employee. Nope, same thing. Or agency. Should that be there? Shall not disclose any confidential city information?
Brian, Mickey, is that for consistency to, in the first bullet of 32.7, it says officer, employee, or agency? Does
I would
that-
agree with that because not only could an officer or employee make a statement, but theoretically a department or an agency could make a statement. You know, like an individual planning and zoning can say something.
Mhm.
An elected person could say something, an appointed person could say something, an employee could say something, or the planning and zoning or the health department could say something. So I think we should probably have officer, employee,
it.
agency.
All right,
Well,
so,
I sort of disagree with that. It
Okay.
came up one time in a probate matter, where it's saying, well, the trust wanted to do this. The trust can't do anything. An agency can't do anything. It's a person that does something. It's the trustee in the case that I had a probate court. And I was told, because I said, oh, the trust wants to do this. Well, the trust can't do anything. An agency can't influence somebody, but an officer, an employee of that agency is the one that's actually verbalizing or writing down whatever the intended influences.
So that-
That's
It
you know,
is a good
point.
point. It's a good point, Mickey, because I believe, hold on, I believe you can't file an ethics complaint against, I think you have to file an ethics complaint against a person.
A
Yes.
person, right?
So,
Oh,
yeah, so, okay, I
okay,
agree with that.
good.
That's a
I
good point.
brought it up as a double check. Okay.
nope, that's great. Good
All right, let me put it back
conversation.
up. I wanted to go to the code and I had to get down for that. All right, back up.
All right, so let's, that one's good. Let's go to the second bullet of that page. Um, shall we change his, her to their?
You might have, that might be a good idea because there could be other pronouns, these that might be asked to be inserted if we have his, her. You have to be cognizant of that, I think, in this day where a lot of documents that are official are changing.
Any other critiques of that bullet? Geraldo, you're on mute if you're speaking. We do enjoy hearing your voice, Geraldo.
Yes, I do.
All right,
Mute.
there you go. You're
Hear
off.
myself fine.
There you
I
go.
was saying there was adjacent to that, there was another his, her that should be there, right next to it.
Yeah, there's two in the paragraph.
Agree.
All right, so
That's not the point. Are we changing it to their instead of his, her?
THEIR, yeah.
Yeah. That certainly would cover any person.
Let's just make a note, and we'll do it slide by slide, but as we scroll through, if there's because this code of ethics has been written over several years,
Sure.
so there may be other places, and we'll do our best
Sure.
to come up with there in place of, the other pronouns, to cover our basis. Forgive us if we miss one, and we will go back and correct as it's pointed out. For anybody in the city that is watching this in the future, feel free to point it out. We did not do anything intentionally. So feel free to point it out to us and we'd be happy to adjust if we overlook something. Thank you.
Michael, on the first page of 32.7, the second bullet, it's a similar vein. It's not exactly the same, but the second line down talks about a matter in which he or she has a financial or other. Perhaps
Yep.
we should change
Put
that.
in which they
Yeah.
have
They
a
have.
financial, yeah. Thank you, Mickey. And
Good.
to the
Yep.
point of what I just said is, it is possible that we've already made some of these, official. And so
Michael,
yeah.
Michael, with the ones that we already approved from last meeting
Mhm.
and going forward, if you want me to go back, I can, if you guys vote that you want me to go back to the ones we approved already and make that change, then I will do that. I'll go back and take a look at how we're, the pronouns and everything, and then going forward, we can continue to do that. So I don't have to do that on future ones.
Let's just do this real quick. Do I have a motion to, in all instances, use they or their, whatever the appropriate neutral pronoun is in place of his or her? Can
Yes.
somebody make
Yes,
a mo-
Yeah.
All right, Mickey makes that motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
Yep, Pat Geraldo second. And all in favor?
Right.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Note that, Brian, that moving forward, we'll do our best to identify that and adjust that as necessary.
Right, and just so you guys know, for the record, it is, let me give you the specific sections that I have to go back and do. Previously, at our last meeting in October, we successfully went through sections 3210, 3214, 3215, 3216, and 3217. Based on your vote tonight, I will go back to those 5 and make those appropriate changes, and going forward, we'll do the same.
Thank you.
Yep.
If we can go back to 32.7, second page, third bullet that says no officer employee shall be required to participate in political campaigns, and the sub bullet, if you just take a moment, and then we will go from there.
Do we need the word in the second to last line? Is it supposed to be involuntarily or?
Or involuntarily one word, or?
Yeah, or 2 words, because it doesn't seem to, involuntarily doesn't seem to jive with the phrase right above it, that they can seek elective office and,
Mickey, do you recall your intent?
yeah.
I'm trying to read this to see.
Take your time.
No, it's the in was a separate word. The meaning needs that word in.
Okay, it's not meant, because involuntarily itself doesn't. But
Yeah,
is the word in there? I mean, I'm just saying seeking elective office and campaigning in connection herewith or voluntarily participating in any political campaign. Do we need the word in?
Probably not. Probably not.
Okay, so let's strike the word in.
Yeah.
In the first bullet, it says no officer or employee shall be required to participate in political campaigns. And the subset bullet is, if you want to, you can, but you
Okay.
aren't required to. Is that
Mhm.
correct? Excellent. Any other concerns with this before we move on to 32.8? let's say 32.7 is final with the adjusted notes we made, and let's go to 32.8.
Bear with me 1 second.
Take your time.
Brian, did you say you're able to make these changes or do you need it from me?
I'm gonna need them from you.
Okay,
If you could, yeah, if you could just send them to me in a PowerPoint. And you might not have the next one, Mickey. I don't know who does, but if we get to one that isn't you, whoever that is gonna have to do the same thing. So I'm gonna send an email out after the meeting, just reminding everyone, Mickey, provide PowerPoint for this.
I'm not
section.
sure, if I can do a PowerPoint. I've never done one before, so I'm not sure how. I mean, I've sent you, I think, just PDFs of these.
If you send me the approved PDF version, that's just as good. If I don't
Okay.
have to make the changes, then that's fine. Whatever's easier for you. All right, 32.8's coming back up. Does anybody know who did 32.8?
I did 32.7, 8, and 16.
32.8.7. Okay, so let me just make sure. I think, Mickey, we already did 32.16, but let me double check that. Because then you'd be off the hook after this one. Let me double check. We already completed 32.16, so this would be the last.
Okay,
This would be the last one of yours. All right, so 32.8's back up.
Excellent. Take a moment. Let's do just the first bullet at the moment, and then we'll try to do a couple at a time so it's not as overwhelming. So take a moment, read the first bullet, and let's see how that goes.
For those of you that aren't so familiar with the code, basically what I did is a lot of this is copied verbatim from the code. So sometimes the language might be a little stilted. And so sometimes I changed it, but sometimes I didn't. So just so you know.
Thanks.
And as we review, part of the thing to keep in mind is this is in theory going to be the basis of a presentation that we will be doing. We'll be using these as notes to reference. We already have our Citizens Guide to the Code of Ethics. We have our Code of Ethics. This is meant as for, individual webinars or presentations on each section, whether, as the board evolves, somebody will have to step in and do it. So as you read this, imagine you might be presenting this and just be comfortable with the language. Obviously, if we were actually presenting it, we could make notes. This is not an official document. This isn't changing the code. This isn't changing the Citizens Guide. So just as a refresher, when you review this, this is more for our benefit and the benefit of the folks we're presenting to, that these are the topics we want to hit in each section.
Okay. So are we ready for comments on this?
First bullet, go for it.
I say, sticking to one of the guidelines you have given, we should remove the notwithstanding the foregoing and just put however, since this is supposed to be non-legalese.
And just the typo in subsection, which isn't a big deal.
Yeah,
So,
Oh, yeah.
however, this subsection does not prohibit the following.
yeah. If so shall.
That's really tough for an attorney to swallow.
I was
Yeah.
going to say, I didn't want to say
But like I said, it was supposed to be non-legalese.
Hard for an HR person to swallow too. But so immersed in legalese sometimes. But good.
Okay, anything else on that first bullet, or shall we move, let's say the next two?
Did I miss something there? I just changed notwithstanding the foregoing. I changed it to however.
Yeah, subsection, this subsection has a
subsection.
typo over, has an extra E.
Oh, mine doesn't.
SU, you have SEU.
Okay, oh, no, that's his doesn't, if you look at Brian's screen real quick, Mickey, you could just see what we see. I don't know where that came from, but no harm, no foul.
Oh, yeah, look at that. Yeah. Oh, mine, I guess that's a earlier version.
Nope, no harm, no foul. So let's, the two subset bullets, the first two, let's
Okay.
quickly review. I'll make a comment in the first bullet, and Mickey, this may be different on yours, but established has just a typo and it has an extra T.
Hmm.
I'm not sure if it's this version or your version.
Oh, that does, yeah, my version does have that extra. Yep.
Do we have other things to point out?
Well, we're gonna have to change his or her duties, I guess, or their duties.
Wait. Where are you?
Very end of second
The end of
bullet.
the second bullet.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Mhm.
Yep, their duties, yep.
And I know that we talked about trying to keep these brief, but I think that this one specifically, it's good to have a list along with Mickey explaining this section on the webinar. I think it's helpful to people to see a list so they can go access it later. This is not legalese. This is not confusing. This will be very helpful for them.
Agreed.
Good.
Any other comments on the first two subset bullets before we tackle the next couple? Excellent. So why don't we go to, let's just do the next two while we're at it, political contributions and then loans obtained. Anything to point out? Then let's move to the final two, customary performance and certificate, plaques, and awards. Any commentary on those final two bullets? Excellent, then let's read the last sentence and the first two subset bullets.
I'm not sure at the bottom of that first page where that the law department of the city shall assist the Board of Ethics in implementing its.
Well, if you look at the meals.
I think it's I think meals is just a continuation. I don't know where that line came from. If that's removed, it makes sense because it's just continuing on with the list with meals and
Oh.
goods and
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's how my interpretation was.
yeah.
So no, the law department, that was set.
We're gonna
said
get rid of that
somewhere else.
line.
Right,
Yeah,
okay.
that's not on my version either, so I don't know where.
Great. Mickey's got the good
But it's-
version.
Okay, prohibited, yes, let's see. This is, can you
But it's on 30
expand this at all, Brian? Can you
Make it larger.
a little larger? Great, thank
How's
you.
that?
That's
Yep.
perfect. I have a
Great.
very tinier screen, so that's perfect.
Actually, okay, so we're taking, are we omitting the sentence, the law department of the city shall assist? Because actually, now that I'm reading it further, the law department of the city shall assist the Board of Ethics in implementing its meals and refreshments provided to an officer or employee isn't the thing.
Right. We
Yeah,
have to get rid of the law department line.
Yeah, so,
Right.
so I know it's not on your thing, Mickey. I know you already took it out, but we're gonna agree that we'll take out that final sentence. The law department of the city shall assist the Board of Ethics in implementing its. We're gonna take that out and just carry on the bullets
Oh,
that
yeah.
that
Mhm.
revert back to the, however, this subsection does not prohibit the following meals and
Meals.
refreshments.
Right.
Yeah. So now if you just go read the next two in that order, let's see if we have critiques. Any concerns with the first two bullets on this page? Let's go ahead. Excellent. Let's go ahead and read the next three, or the mid three, final three. Should we capitalize A for a rebate in the
Yes.
second one?
Yeah.
All right. A comment I'll make on the final bullet, and it's open to discussion, is the use of the word germane. While that is a very applicable and appropriate word, perhaps is there an alternate word that we can use if it's printed of recorded information, photographs, and maps applicable to governmental action or functions? Or are we comfortable outside of Mickey, and Mickey, you are correct with that word, are we comfortable using germane, or should we adjust it to applicable or another adjective of that?
Yeah, I think. we're easy.
Applicable, material,
Yeah, I like
pertinent, relevant.
applicable, so that it's certainly maybe more straightforward to the people we may be.
Well, so the
Really?
reason I'm pointing it out to everybody but Mickey is Mickey's accurate with the word, and I know he's
Right.
comfortable with it, but if we're presenting it to whomever we're presenting it to,
Yeah.
do we want to use the word germane, or do we want to adjust it for our own comforts and the comforts of those that might be receiving it?
Michael, I can give you a couple of synonyms if you.
Go for it.
if
Thank you.
want to.
Synonyms better than adjectives. Go ahead.
So applicable, which you guys said.
Yeah.
Material, pertinent, relevant.
I'll go with relevant.
I said relevant or applicable. Either one. is-
Relevant it is. I like relevant.
Irrelevant's a legal word. We use that all the time.
Yep.
So that fits for you too then, Mickey. I'm not
And that's
trying
why
to-
germane is there too, right?
Yep.
I like it. I could be careful with either one, but. Relative.
All right, so relevant,
Relevant. Or
yeah,
Now, here's something I'm going back and forth with several times in the last 3 or 4 minutes here.
yeah.
Printed or recorded information, photographs, or maps relevant to governmental action or functions. Should it say and maps or maps? Does it matter?
And, well, no, and says it's all three, or says it could be all three or one of each. If we want to get
so
down to
actually-
that, yeah.
So I am above my English speaking pay grade here. My English teachers throughout school can attest to this. But since we use printed or recorded and we finished with governmental actions or functions, does it make sense to stay consistent and
It would be
have
a
or?
word. Yeah.
Yes.
Very good.
Go with or.
There we go.
Excellent. Anything else on those final three bullets before we go to the last paragraph? Excellent. Let's move and review the last paragraph. I think that's pretty straightforward. Any commentary?
Good.
No.
No, good.
Excellent. I think that completes 32.8 that Mickey will send off to Brian. And then that'll be completed. Brian, do you wish to scroll down all the way to 32.9, which I think is next?
All right, so we can skip this one because we've already done 32.7. We already did 32.8. 32.9 are, let me just make sure that we didn't do it already. I believe we
Why
haven't.
does 32.8 have a date on it?
But what?
Why does the 32.8 you scrolled by at the very bottom? I just saw January 15th, something, something.
Yeah,
It's-
the
that was an-
moder,
yeah,
yeah,
it's
that's
probably
an
an
older
earlier version.
version. Yeah,
Oh,
sorry.
okay. We know it's an older version is
Yes,
what I'm
yeah,
saying. Okay,
Yes.
Gotcha.
All right, so 32.9 we've not already done. Do you know, does anyone know who did 32.9? We know it's not
I-
Mickey.
I have
No.
to go look. I know I did a bunch and I don't remember which ones I did. I can make notes for this.
Okay,
I'm actually, hold on, I'm just, 32. All right, so this, my goal for tonight is 32.9. You don't need to change it, Brian. I'm just looking through 32.9, 32.11, 32.1, and 32.2. The last three are each one page. So once we accomplish that, if we can just plug away, then I think that'll be good for tonight and leave larger sections for next meeting. So for 32.9 specific violations, why don't we read the first bullet and go from there? Actually,
intentional violations instead of willful.
It's picky, but I would leave the word willful in because it may be needed to be stated in all forms of the materials, whether we're giving them versus somebody's reading them. But we could put intentional, willful violations. It's, because willful has a legal determination. So I would leave willful.
The only thing is, unlike the code of ethics, this is trying to be more aligned like a user's guide that somebody could pick up and understand.
That's why I'm saying add intentional and or willful violations there, of.
Right.
Because even though it's meant to be user friendly, if you have if there is a complaint or there is some action that we would have to take, I think you need to have the
So-
strength of the proper abilities to look at the violations
But so you're aware,
properly.
just so you're aware, we are bound by this code of ethics. This is just a communication tool. This has nothing to do with what we're bound by, right?
Not necessarily.
It is.
I mean, a willful violation is different from an unintentional
No,
violation.
I wasn't questioning that. I'm just saying the document, what we're
So-
guided by is the code
Yeah,
of
so
document.
the ordinance itself says willful.
Yeah.
And here it is. So,
Yeah.
we're bound by what the ordinance says. But when we're making this presentation, we want to make sure that it's accessible to everybody,
And that they
but we
understand.
also are accurate. So if we say intentional and or
Dash
willful
willful,
violation, then I think we're
We're
making sure that
covering and either
Okay.
one, exactly.
okay, so let's do intentional dash willful
The
violations.
slash.
Yeah, backslash.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, a comma
Yep.
after equipment. And any other critiques on the first one, or shall we move to the second?
Hold on,
I
I gotta
just-
put it back up.
He's got to put it back up.
Yes.
I was
Okay.
trying to get it by you guys without actually having to look at it. Thanks for the assist, Bri.
No problem. Mickey had to sit there and take it, so.
Now we're looking at removal of records.
Yes, we can move on to the second bullet.
Well, this should apply to the president of the United States. too.
Thank you, Mickey. I
Oh, that
was waiting
great.
for that.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Mickey, do you have classified documents in your garage?
I've never taken classified documents.
Well, if you were president, that wouldn't necessarily mean that was an applicable statement.
Exactly.
To my knowledge.
Yeah, yeah, to your knowledge, that's that's the key.
Yeah.
All right, so back to the bullet in the middle.
Okay. Original says, oh my God. Authorization and copies of non-confidential documents made available.
You know, there should really be a comma after where it says with authorization, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm. And non-confidential, shouldn't there be like a hyphen, non-hyphen confidential?
Yeah.
Hold on. With authorization. Hold on, say this again. Sorry, I'm writing slow. With,
With authorization, comma,
yep,
copies of
Yep.
non-confidential is non-hyphen confidential.
Yeah.
gotcha, non-hyphen confidential. Thank you.
Documents can be made available to the public. There was no change to the rest of that sentence.
Excellent. If there's nothing else for that, let's scroll to, not scroll, let's
Well,
look at the
ba-
third.
back,
Oh,
getting back.
yeah, sorry. Yes.
This should apply to certain, we'll call them sentences. Removal of original records and yada, 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 yada. And then it says files or documents belonging to the city. Well, there's no period there. But that is a sentence. So it seems to me there should be a period after city.
Yes.
Well, and hold on, I'm just going
Oh,
back
yeah.
to, are,
Do you have-
are we putting, and this goes back to 32.8 as well, proper
Yeah.
things at the end of bullet points?
I put
No,
periods
no,
after
no.
mine
So
because
it's a
they're
good
all
point.
sentences. Well, at least the ones that were sentences, I had
Right.
periods.
No, and as long as we're consistent, I'm
Yeah,
on
let's just be
It's
board.
a
consistent.
style thing, even if it's a phrase, if we're using periods, we should
But we're
probably be
not.
consistent.
Yeah, most of them don't have a period as I've seen.
Mm,
Well, let's make a note, and I'm very good with either. That if we are using punctuation at the end, let's be consistent. If we are not, let's review
Yeah.
what we've approved and just make sure we're consistent throughout.
Right, so you guys tell me, before the end of the meeting, make a vote. And I will go back and make sure, because right now I'm looking at one doesn't have periods and the other one does, so. Right now so if you want periods, I can go back and make those changes, and if you don't, then I'll remove the periods. But you're
Right.
right, we should be consistent.
Quick vote. Is there a preference amongst the crowd? There's 4 of us, so it's great.
I just like the periods. It sort of
I-
ends whatever.
One per period. Do we have a second for period?
I take the
Second.
opposite.
All
I'm
right, great.
sorry.
Pat takes the opposite. No, Pat is with Mickey. Geraldo takes the opposite.
I take the
It's-
opposite because a lot of these things are phrases, then it looks
They
like
are,
we
they
don't
are.
know. So they're phrases, so they shouldn't have periods. So to me, it's
But when
can
you're
s-
doing a presentation, it all should be one way or the other,
I agree, and I'm
So-
saying my recommendation is not put the period.
not put anything.
Michael, you're the swing vote, Michael.
Well, this is so, it's fair and not fair all at once. And I was,
Kinda.
well, I was gonna vote with Geraldo just because I'm not the grammatical person. And then also I'd get to be the chair and make a super vote, so it'd be funny. But I was actually gonna defer and use the esteemed Cara Murphy on her 3212. The only problem, when I just quickly scrolled up to review 3212, is the esteemed Cara Murphy did both. On some slides, it has the proper punctuation, and on other slides, that does not have punctuation. Now, maybe that's proper, maybe that's not. So now I am torn.
How
Yeah, I
about
see. I look
Supervote?
back on 32-2, for instance, and
Yep.
there are some bullets that are not sentences. You need a subject and a predicate and so on.
Yeah,
But there are some that are actually sentences, but there's no periods after them either. So
So great. So we're not consistent and we have a divided thing.
Maybe we just put them behind the sentences.
Well, hold on. So just to talk this out real quick, I don't really want to belabor this because it's already 8. Is if we go with the punctuation, it's not always a period, is it? Is it sometimes a semicolon or a colon? Is it,
Or
does it become,
sometimes,
well, does it become onerous for us to
Mhm.
go through each bullet? Um, now, in our official documentation, which is a citizen's guide and the code of ethics,
weird.
oof. At the moment, I am going to take the chicken way out and punt on a decision on that. We are going to table it. I don't want to overstate this importance of that, but I want to go to the next grammatical stuff before we get to the punctuation, a blanket punctuation thing, if that's okay with everybody.
why don't we do the content? And
Yeah.
worry about, this is kind of like the fine print.
yeah.
Yep.
Let's get the content down because
Good
those
idea.
changes can be made very quickly at the end.
Yep.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, excellent. So outside of proper punctuation at the end, if there's missing punctuation in the middle, call it out, point it out right now.
Yeah.
But just not the end. So to the third bullet, access to information by Board of Ethics, review that, and then let's go on to the next. Any commentary?
Not on access to information. I don't have any comments.
I'm
Go.
just trying to understand that. So if
Sure.
we're in the process of a hearing or an investigation, somebody can't deny us access to what we might need that would be germane to the case or the complaint raised, except there's an except.
Right,
Um,
except if it's exempt from disclosure under relevant law. We don't, supersede the law.
Okay.
And
But what
good
if
use
we
of the
needed
word
to I
germane.
guess if we needed to read the law, we could go find the law to read someplace.
If you had, Pat, just as a quick example, if you guys were conducting an investigation and
Mhm.
something came up like that where somebody was claiming that there was a privilege that they were not going to violate, you could ask for a legal opinion from the law department. The law department would be able to provide you with said legal opinion and reach out to counsel for the entity that was denying you the information to see whether it could be obtained or whether it had to go to court or something like that.
Gotcha. So it's just like literally what we are watching on television with some of the records. Okay.
Yep.
There are steps. Very good. Understood.
Are we good on this
whistle-
one?
Yes,
Mhm.
Okay.
whistleblower protection, go ahead.
It seemed very awkward to me, so I looked at the code and what was awkward is the first, well, I don't know if it's a sentence. Current or past officers and employees shall not retaliate against any or an individual in employment, benefits, or contracting. Well, beside that being awkward because they are all different like tenses. But the actual code says it shall be a violation of the code of ethics if for any officer or employee or agency to threaten. Wait, am I reading the right one? Sorry, reading the wrong one.
All right, so, but that sentence does need to be corrected, so.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Let's do
Uh,
the other ones. We'll come back to it.
Okay. So we're coming back to whistleblower. Let's skip down to violation of confidentiality.
oh, here it is. Yeah, I got it.
Set that aside, Mickey.
Yeah,
Violation of confidentiality.
I don't think you need the two.
Yep, thank you.
And I think that word if should be off, right? Violation of confidentiality shall be a violation if current or past officers and employees.
Of, you're
It should
saying
be
it should
of.
be up,
Yes,
Yep.
OF instead of IF.
yeah.
It shall be a violation of current or past officers and employees.
So it's of current or past officers and employees and take out the word to.
oh, why would you
No.
change if to of? It doesn't make any sense.
How about
Wait a
this,
minute.
Michael? Michael, let me read this to you and see if you guys like it.
Yeah.
It shall be a violation under the ethics code for current or past officers and employees to intentionally violate any confidentiality requirements or requirements.
Okay. And you say cut out the last part provided for under the ethics code?
Well, because I put under, it shall be a violation under the ethics code
Got
for
you.
current or
Perfect.
past
Okay.
officers and employees to intentionally violate any confidentiality requirements or
Okay.
any confidential
Okay.
requirements or whatever.
I'm good with that.
Too.
Brian, just make note of that you have that one.
Yeah,
Hold on,
Good.
I gotta write it down.
Oh, sorry. I can write it down if you want to just read it back. I'll write it.
Sure. Hold on 1 second. I'm having issues because I have to share the screen. All right, it shall be a violation
Hold on. Violation. Yep, go ahead.
under the ethics code
Under the ethics code. Yep.
for current or past officers
Or past officers. Yep.
and employees.
Yep.
To intentionally violate.
Yep.
Any confidentiality requirements.
So let me read it back. Violation of confidentiality. It shall be a violation under the ethics code for current or past officers and employees to intentionally violate any confidentiality requirements.
Would that word just be confidential requirements rather than confidentially requirements?
Hold on, so I'm gonna read that second half again with the adjustment. For current or past officers and employees to intentionally violate any confidential requirements. Confidentiality or confidential?
I would say confidentiality requirements,
yes.
That's
but that says
I don't think that's
confidentially, so
I don't think
that
that's
needs
right.
to be
Yeah.
shifted a bit.
I think it's just confidential.
Confidentiality could also be you could reach back to what if somebody signed a non-disclosure, non-disparagement type of non-confidentiality disclosure. That would be a confidentiality agreement. So you want to cover something that could be written or verbal. Is how I'm seeing it. So
Excellent. So then let's go on to the next bullet, the additional specific violations. Any commentary?
I have no comment.
no comment.
Final bullet of that page is examples only, violations of the code of ethics. My comment would be, should we use an alternate word from contravene? Are we good with that word?
Hold on. Contravene.
Mm-hmm.
Hinder, conflict, obstruct, conflict.
Conflict probably would be the word. No. Oh man, maybe we redo that sentence to all together if it's
Frustrate?
applicable.
May include other circumstances and
on,
actions
so-
that frustrate the purpose and intent of the code.
Do we need that final sentence? If the examples only, violations of the code of ethics are not limited to the specific examples listed herein.
Why you just
I
say
don't-
may, how about in
Period.
parentheses, may include other circumstances and actions?
Done. All
Yeah.
right. Is everybody okay with that? Just say may include other circumstances and actions.
Yeah,
You're letting people know that this is not an exhaustive document. We can't, you guys can't legislate in this document every particular
The
situation and
thing
scenario,
that could go wrong, right?
which is something that we told ordinance and common council about when we were going through this process of redrafting the entire code.
We went through that a lot.
Oh, I bet.
We gotta go back to whistleblower.
Yep. Let's go back there. Whistleblower.
Oh, the whistleblower. If it's, is it contract?
I'll say, so what I had pointed out there, that the code says, take any actions against, which is similar to, or the same as this, an individual, comma, including in areas of employment, comma, career advancement and so on. So I think
Or-
this
Yeah,
needs to be fixed a little bit.
What if we just said current or past officers and employees shall not retaliate against an individual as a result of that individual making an ethics complaint? Or providing truthful information as part of an investigation or of a hearing on an ethics complaint?
No,
Why don't- I mean,
I like what you said first is, read that sentence in employment as an,
yeah.
sorry, hold on one sec. Let me just, an individual. All right, so it's current or past officers and employees shall not retaliate against an individual in employment who made an ethics complaint,
Were you talking to me or Mickey?
to you, Brian, initially.
Oh, so current or past officers and employees shall not
Yep.
retaliate against an individual
Yep,
as a result of that individual
yep,
making an ethics complaint or
Yep.
providing truthful information as part of any investigation of or hearing on an ethics complaint.
Now, that's the sort of a short version of the code.
Yes, I got rid of the problematic language in the second line.
In the middle,
so I'm gonna just read it back. Current or past officers and employees shall not retaliate against an individual as a result of that individual making an ethics complaint or providing truthful information as part of any investigation of or hearing. So do we have the of or hearing on an ethics complaint? If the answer is yes, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm just
it
asking.
is, well, I'm saying, it's yes to me, but we have a consensus of people. Sounds
Yeah.
fine to me.
Of an investigation of or hearing
Hearing
on.
on,
Okay.
As a complaint, yeah, that's fine.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
That's the code, actually.
Yep.
All right. I had lofty aspirations as it's 8:16. Do we want to tackle one more page or save this for next month?
Which would be
What's
the
the-
next page? Are you talking
Yeah,
about
what's the next
3211?
page?
Yeah,
is it one page?
yep,
3211 is really short. Let's do
Yeah,
32.
let's go.
Okay,
Yeah.
we could do that.
excellent.
Hold on one
I-
second before we start. So 32.7 was Mickey, 32.8,
Is Mickey,
Is Mickey-
32.9 is Michael.
32.8, and 32.9 is Michael. Who's 32.11? Do we know?
We're gonna go with Michael unless Geraldo thinks he did it.
I don't recall anything. Mine, I said
Yeah.
that.
I thought I
Okay.
wrote down whoever was in charge of these, but I somehow can't find that, so.
Yep, nope, we'll go with Michael for 32.11. It's easy enough.
That's fine. It's coming back up right now.
Yeah.
There you go.
Subsequent employment. If the sentences are good, it wasn't Michael, but I'll happily take credit. Uh,
Oh, then I'm gonna rip this one apart.
You could take claim and then say you have a plural with a singular verb.
Yes,
Individuals who-
individuals who have.
Have
Yeah,
served,
correct.
yeah.
There should be a comma after not.
Nope.
And this is, I guess this is where the comment came from that was submitted today of this being termination, that it doesn't have to be
Yes.
a termination, it can be a separation. That separation
Correct.
makes it more appropriate.
Now, I believe if I recall, I can take a look.
Mhm.
I believe that 3211 says termination. It does not say separation,
Okay,
but let me double check
Yeah. that's what we should
while you
look at.
guys are thinking about it.
Are you saying in the actual code?
The actual code
Yeah.
says, let's see, which one is it? The first or second bullet point?
The first bullet point.
Yeah, it says an individual who has served as an officer or employee shall not within 1 year after termination. So
Okay,
it doesn't say separation.
And termination can be voluntary or involuntary, so it
Correct.
covers both.
And right now, we're not redoing the Citizens Guide of the code.
yeah,
We,
Right.
once we complete this, I will happily go back and review, and I'm open to that. But right now, I want to follow through on this for
And, yeah, that comment
educational.
was for here, I just was trying to validate that, so that.
No,
answers-
absolutely.
Yeah, no, that's
No, that was
great.
a good catch,
Geraldo.
Geraldo. That was a good catch because I forgot about that. It was in
Yes.
3211.
All right, so we have individuals who have served as an officer or employee shall not, comma, within 1 year after termination, assist any person other than the city for monetary or other valuable compensation.
What's the context of assist any person with it? Just for my edification.
So if you're, and I'm thinking out loud, and this may not be applicable, but let's see if this tracks. If you're an employee on the zoning board that approves a development, and then you terminate your agreement with the city, and you get hired by said developer for monetary or other valuable
That's what I thought.
compensation,
Okay,
that's where that applies.
Similar to one of the assistant corporation counsel or one of the corporation counsel's office leaving and then providing assistance in tax appeals against the city.
gotcha.
Another good example. Yeah, and yes. that
And
would be-
another good reason to, in my sphere, when you, in those non-confidentiality agreements or non-compete agreements, termination is used all the time, very commonly, whether you
Yeah.
leave voluntarily or involuntarily. It
Right.
covers the same kind of thing. Okay.
All right, so we're good with the
Thanks.
first.
Yep.
You're welcome.
I'm not good with it, because
Okay,
I'm
sorry.
reading the code itself. And
Yeah.
this 3 lines here totally misses the point of the code.
Okay,
The point of the code is talking about an individual has served as an offer employee, not within 1 year, termination served for monetary other value before the agency for which the officer or employee served or
Right.
Right.
was employed.
But usually you're right.
It's not, this here leaves that, it looks like, he can give, cannot give information to anybody for any agency. And that's not the intent of section A of 3211.
so then you want to just add a final sentence after valuable compensation to the agency with which they were involved, or how would you word the last sentence?
I would try to stick as close to the code as possible,
as
so that people
possible.
understand that you can't go back in front of
All right, Mickey, after valuable compensation, what does the code say? And I'll just type it out.
Well, let me look at the code. Well, that's not the problem. The problem is
Mm-mm.
before that, actually.
Okay. Well, so if you want to,
The
because I
person-
don't have it in front of me, if you want to read when you get to it, how this should read, I'm happy
Okay, after here it is, or other valuable compensation.
Mhm.
And then the code goes on, the comma, before the agency for which the officer or employee served,
Serve, yeah,
There you
So
go.
before the agency with which,
for which the
For-
officer or employee served or was employed. I think that's sufficient. There's a little bit more to it, but I don't
Okay.
think it
All right,
adds
so-
much.
So a
Much
better
better.
example than I gave was an attorney sitting on the board of the zoning board and leaves the appointed position that they have, and then within a year comes back and starts doing stuff in front of the board.
Yeah,
okay, so it says valuable, valuable compensation, comma, before the agency for which the officer or employee served or was employed.
period.
Yep.
I mean,
Period.
the code goes on further, but I don't think what's added is
Right.
is important.
No.
Yep, perfect. So that's
Oh, I
the
like
first
that.
bullet. I also just want to point out a fun joke, and hopefully it's at my expense and nobody else's. The first bullet doesn't have proper period, and the second bullet does have a proper period. So consistent. Just
Michael, you're hedging your bets.
yes, consistent in an inconsistent way.
yeah.
The next bullet, go for it.
No agency.
Now, Mickey, since you have that code in front of you, is 18 months track or is it 12 months?
Well, the code says 12.
You kid.
Great.
Who randomly made up this 18?
I'm so glad I
Mike,
took
I
this.
think Michael said he did.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
yes. I'm so glad I took responsibility for this. So we'll say 12 months. We'll adjust the 18 to 12. Please go through everything else to see. Well, so then is this is this a duplication of the first bullet?
But this one's specific to
And
an
this a agent-
officer.
Right.
And it's not 18 months for an officer. It's just
Yeah.
same as everybody else, 12
Well, hold
months.
on. So
But this is different.
well, hold on. So the first one is officer or employee. The second one is
Oh.
the reverse,
yeah.
agency.
Yeah,
No agency shall employ
So-
somebody.
So if
yeah.
to use the zoning thing, or
There was
if
an
a
officer.
private party presents in front of the city to get something approved, then that agency within the city can't subsequently hire them. And Mickey, I'll need you to just confirm that's not different for agency in the preceding or in the following 12 months.
And I see
This
that
is the reverse.
I see differently, Mike. I think it's
Okay.
more that the agency can't hire somebody that say is on the common council that's part of whatever they call that, the group that services that agency. Then they can't hire that person.
Or
As
their
an
family member.
officer.
Right,
Because
or
it's
their
an
family
agency
member.
can employ an individual who served as an officer. So that would be,
Mhm.
you're saying the city can't hire, within that agency, some other city.
Right,
agency
so,
hire-
Geraldo, I think, so let's see if I give an example, the examples work good for me. Let's see if it works for everybody else. I'll
Yeah.
just use the RDA as an example. The chairperson of the RDA steps down. He or she cannot be hired by the RDA
RDA,
within
right.
insert period of time here.
Yeah,
That's how I read it.
me too.
Mhm.
So, okay, so I'm good with.
Or no
that.
member of their family or anything like that.
Right, you
Right.
can't, the wife, the daughter, the son.
Right.
Now, Mickey, just because you're the one that has the code in front of you, I think, can you confirm if it is the
Well-
same 12 months? It's not
Well,
18?
I also looked at our code, our citizens guide, which we redid a year, 2 years ago almost now. And
Yeah.
that says 12 months.
Okay, so I
Oh.
don't know where 18 came from. We'll go with 12. And, okay, so outside of that now, outside of the 12 months, changing 18 to 12, please reread this bullet and make sure you're comfortable now that you see the difference between the two.
The only thing I would put a comma after in the second bullet section after months, the first months.
So the preceding 12 months, comma, or any immediate family member.
Yes.
I mean, to be clear, I was sort of, our citizens guide doesn't say 12 months, it says 1 year. I mean, it's the same thing, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh.
Well,
Right.
okay, actually, instead of saying 12 months, because again, with my consistency, if I did this, the previous bullet says 1 year after termination. So why don't we say preceding 1
Yeah.
year?
yeah.
Okay.
Very good.
I'm just trying to catch you guys up. This was planned a year ago when I wrote this,
Yeah.
that I was looking forward. No, so I'm gonna read it back in the accurate form one time and then let me know if there's anything else. No agency shall employ any individual who has served as an officer of the agency during the preceding 1 year, comma, or any immediate family member of an individual who has served as an officer of the agency during the preceding 1 year period. I got 2 thumbs up. I like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't want to be funny here, but the last few words there, the preceding 1 year period or the preceding 1 year and then period.
I meant the punctuation,
Okay.
and I appreciate the play on words and I am open to objection, but if there is not an objection, I think that's a great note to finish tonight up on.
There you go. Took us a
uh,
while to get through that.
Yeah, no, before we do one more page and it's 9 o'clock, I appreciate you all for sticking in the extra half hour tonight and plugging away while we have us. I'm excited for what's in store in the year ahead, and I hope this builds some momentum for us into the next meeting and beyond. Mickey, if you send to Brian in the next day or so your stuff, I'll send my stuff to make those corrections. And then in the next month, in February, hopefully we will be in person, and I will look forward to that very much if we are. Either way, we'll continue on the momentum we've started today and attack the next sections with the fresh minds and go from there. Any other commentary before we motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
I second.
Second, all in favor?
I.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Thank you all. Have a
Hey.
wonderful evening. Stay warm, be safe.
Bye, everybody.
You
Good night,
too.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye.
I'm waving like you can see me.
Yeah. Touche, Mickey, touche.
Assume we
Okay.
did.